One. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Divine Brothers podcast. Meeting again, Austin, Chase, Dean, all together. And I got to say, I am feeling very analytical this week. I think it's because of the book we're reading and also just, I don't know, I guess I've just become very introspective. And I wanted to ask you guys, because Austin shared a pretty cool dream in our last podcast about a bee shark. Yes, like a yellow black shark coming for him and the perfect recreation of the myth of Ace Ventura. And it made me really drawn into my own sort of dream world. So, are you guys down to hear a weird Dean dream to get us started? Yeah.
Yeah. And can you turn up your volume a touch, man? You feel
My
soft.
volume. Testing, testing. How's
That's
that? A
good. That's
little bit.
good. Yeah, it's good.
So, anyways, a couple days ago, I had a dream. It's very rare for me to remember dreams, but lately the dreams have been coming. Austin, I think the meditation shit might be working. I had a dream. Chase, you were in it. Yeah. So we were over at mom's beach house, right?
Wait,
Our
wait.
mom has this.
Hang on. Turn it down just a touch. Just a touch.
Okay. Okay. How's that?
You're good. You're perfect. Your voice is so
Okay.
powerful, you know? All right, go ahead. We're at the beach
Thank you.
house.
Thank you. Thank you. We're at the beach house. So Austin, our mom, like her pride and joy is this beach house, man. Like
Yeah,
this is like her life's achievement. You know what I mean? It is the thing that she goes to constantly. She's always improving. It's her true love in life. Me and
true.
Chase are inside the beach house with mom, but it's a little different. You know how it is in dreams where you know it's the correct place, but all the proportions are off. It's not quite
Furniture's in the
just
wrong spot. Yeah.
yeah, me and you are we're studying something. Me and Chase are studying something at a table, and I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, but anyways, Chase and mom get into an argument. I don't know what it's about, but it's typical. It's like it's just standard shit. You know what I mean? And mom's just like, meh, and goes outside. And she's like, I'm gonna go swim in the pool. And so she goes outside swimming in the pool. And then all of a sudden, I hear Vic's voice. And it's like, and mom's like, shh, don't let them know they're here. And me and Chase look at each other like, oh, Vic's here. Oh, okay, okay. And Chase is trying to teach me something at like he's really trying, but I'm in that weird state where I'm physically tired in the real world and in the dream I'm tired as well.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm high because I'm so tired. You know what I mean? And I can't whatever Chase is trying to communicate to me, I'm just like, dude, I'm too tired, man. I feel high. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I wish we had some weed. And he's like, yeah, I'll get us some later. And then Chase takes two fingers and goes straight to my eyebrows and does like a weird ritual sort of massage thing. And I woke up. Yeah. That was the dream. And I can remember every detail completely. So I did the ego and archetype thing. I was like, all right, what myth can I use to line this up? And I couldn't find any myth. But here's my analysis, and I want to know what you think. All right, Chase, are you ready for this, man? Because I want your interpretation. I think that you and I have existed within the confines of our parents' world. Mom, in particular, she built up this entire world for us, what it should be. You get into an argument with mom because she believes your world should line up more with her beach house. This should be your goal. This should be the thing you're planning towards, working towards. Yes, and Vic is on the periphery. He's there, he's around, but he's not really impact. It's not the same sort of thing. You and me are planning something. We're working on something, perhaps our own plans for our own house,
Not to make the
but
podcast bigger, but what are you fucking high as usual, just dazing
distracted,
off.
distracted by it. But here was the thing that was interesting to me. Like, I talked to Wu Yin about this a lot. Chase was trying to teach me something. And I said, Chase has nothing to teach me. I was telling Wu Yin, I was like, dude, Chase is a fucking idiot. He doesn't even read for the fucking book podcast and stuff. And I went off on a long rant about this. And it made me realize that I judge Chase so much that it's almost impossible for me to learn anything from him. I need to reapproach the relationship and not look at Chase as an ignoramus, but look at him as somebody who has something to give me. Like, for example, when he bullshits his way through the book podcast, maybe there's some wisdom in that. Like there's wisdom in the kid who's able to bullshit his way through class,
Hey
and
man, I
I
hit
need
on
to be
some
more.
good points.
I'm trying to compliment you, Chase. I'm trying to see.
Yeah,
Let me get
yeah.
to the fucking
Nice.
point. All
Right.
right. I'm trying to say that I need to be more open. I need to change my perspective and approach you as someone who has the capability for wisdom that I can take. And together we can complete our plans. Because right now we're fucking distracted, man. You and me both, we have the propensity to say, let's just do what feels good. Forget the planning. Let's just get high, you know?
I don't, was that a compliment or an insult? It's like a bit of
It
both. He took
was
me on the road down. I was like,
It was
thank
Tai
you.
Chi. It was
Wait a
a
minute.
little bit of the
So,
black and the white together. Anyways,
hey,
what
wait,
what
wait,
do
wait,
you
wait,
think?
wait. I
Am I
think,
just reading too much into this shit?
well, look, I think you're onto something, but Chase can't teach me nothing. Then what did I do at the end? I gave you that little massage and you probably loved it too.
Yeah.
Felt
Dude,
amazing, didn't it?
it was I
Yeah.
woke up. It
Yeah.
woke me up. It didn't feel like a massage. It felt like Buddha shit, like healing shit. Like it felt like you were doing a ritual sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Spock, he has the on there. It was like you were doing that. You were doing something very precise with two fingers, like into my eyebrows, and I just yielded. I just surrendered to it, and I woke up. You know. So you had something. You had some kind of superpower, Chase. You had some kind of ritual, and I just want to admit, Chase, I'm sorry that I disrespect you as an ignoramus. That is wrong. I need to approach you as a figure capable of wisdom. So that I'm going to have a new perspective now. My dream, my unconscious, it's spoken to me, and I'm going to try to be better through it.
Yeah. So my immediate thought is to be serious about it is that perhaps in your conscious attitude you do devaluate Chase more than is objectively appropriate, and I could definitely see why. But I think the dream was sorry, Chase, I didn't mean that. Um, Dreams are meant to compensate for one-sided conscious attitudes, and I think Chase appeared wise in your dream because your conscious attitude is too far to the extreme. You need to be
Mm.
more in the middle. Chase, I don't know if anyone would ever, you know, say he's a sage exactly, but I don't think he's empty of insights either. He's somewhere in the middle. He's probably a little
There's
bit
something
above middle.
there.
Yeah.
If you dig down to the bottom of the trash can, you can probably find some sustenance. I think there's wisdom there.
Yeah.
So
Trash
Chase, I
can
think it's
logic will keep you alive, man. It'll keep you alive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And like you healed me some way. Also, what I was hoping is you or Bobby would have some insight. And well, actually, there's an ancient Tibetan Buddhist custom where the two fingers are actually the way to nirvana. And I was like, or
So
something.
you talked about that. There's one thing that came to mind. I used to take, only time in my life I took a yoga class consistently, twice a week. But this chick, this older, good-looking chick, come by and she would, at the end of the session, you lay there with your eyes closed, you melt into the floor. She'd come by, she'd massage the sides of my head, she'd do these things with her thumbs, and then at the end, she'd grab me two fingers in the middle and give a little massage for like 5 seconds. It was like 20, 25 seconds. I always ask her to do me longer, please. And so I think maybe she gave me 5 extra seconds, but it was man, it was
This is
soothing,
a
healing.
Waimea girl, right? Waimea.
Rosemary Beach.
What? I thought you were talking about the girl that remember we went to the yoga place during the pandemic there in
No,
Waimea.
no, not her. No,
I was about to say this is the pussy juice girl. Yeah.
no, no.
Okay. I got some insights from the Vietnamese culture. So it says in Vietnamese culture, eyebrows are deeply connected to feng shui principles and are believed to influence a person's destiny, wealth, and luck. People care and shaping Proper care and shaping are thought to attract positive energy, enhance confidence, improve relationships, and open up opportunities. So that's something. And in China, Meng Zhang, in traditional Chinese face reading, eyebrows are significant indicators of a person's character, reputation, intelligence, and even their relationship with siblings or friends. Okay, I think this eyebrow thing is a lot deeper than we gave it credit for.
Well,
No, he didn't
let
say
me tell you, there
eyebrows,
is
did he?
something I didn't think about that. But in China, eyebrows are crazy important. So have you ever like seen an old kung fu movie and there's the old master and he has the gigantic eyebrows? They're like beard eyebrows, like like that's super intentional because they say that if your eyebrows are like that, you have dragon within you. Like you have the dragon DNA inside of you and
What
stuff like that.
what about
It's
the
like divinity.
ones what about the ones that have the mole with the hair growing out of it and they don't
That's very
pluck
lucky.
it?
Yes. It's
That has
very
to
lucky.
die. That has to die, dude.
I've had multiple students with it. I had one
Come on.
one kid. I still remember him,
How
Ray.
is that
He
lucky? How is that
do
lucky?
you remember do you remember Austin Powers? Like they had the mole guy, mole, 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 mole. You remember that? It was exactly in that same position, a big mole, except there was a gigantic hair. I'm talking like this thing was maybe 6 inches. Just on his face, just wobble. He would talk and it would wobble in the
So
conversation, But it was good
it's
luck. You can't do that.
it's nauseating. There's no way that can continue. How did that start? How can if you told me that a crater on my face with a hair growing out of it was good luck, I don't fucking care. I'd rather have
In
bad luck my
China,
entire life. It's horrible.
they believe that like your body is a gift from your parents, right? And anything you do to alter that is an insult to your family, you know? So like they're
Plucking a
very
hair?
anti. Yeah, seriously. Like that's why like if you ever look at like old Chinese like movies and stuff like where they do Tang Dynasty and stuff, they all have this crazy long hair because it was seen as like you are altering the gift that your family has given you. You must accept it and appreciate it. Every part of your body. You never alter the body in any way,
But it's like, all right, you can't shave your face. I mean, you're gonna shave.
Dude, there's all kinds of rules and shit. Like when your parents die, you are supposed to have 3 years of mourning. You cannot live in your house anymore. You have to build a hut outside of your house. You live in the hut. You can only have one bowl of porridge in the morning, one bowl of rice in the evening.
Yeah, but who
Three
does
years
this?
personal.
Nobody does
Ancient
this.
China.
Yes,
Ancient China.
right.
That's it.
Ancient China.
But it's straight from Kongzi, like Confucius. He said you had to do this. It was
Well,
absolutely essential.
you think those rituals that they sound so extreme, but that really does, I guess, tie you to the family unit. Like you had to do all this insane shit. Like that's the bond does not sever if that's the case.
And it makes you deeply appreciative of life. Like they would say that the death of a parent represented a conscious evolution in China. You know what I mean? The reason you would go through these intense rituals that were super strict is so that by the end of them, you would become a new person, evolve into a wiser, better person. And I think that lines up with what Jung himself would say. So, yeah, there you go, Chase. The Chinese aren't so stupid
I mean,
after
we're
all.
talking about a hair, Dean. We're talking about a fucking hair. You know what I mean? It's just like you can't pluck the hair. You can keep the fucking
I
mole.
only see judgment from you. I see no wisdom. This stream was bullshit,
All right.
Chase.
If
All
you
right.
had a mole in the middle of your face with a hair growing out of it, would you keep it?
I would say God has blessed me with this.
You would have that call
And
up
therefore,
the surgical guy the next day. How much? Get this thing on my face.
no, 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 no. The only thing I can say is that God did make one mistake okay, he made a couple mistakes, but like the hair was a mistake, so I had to help him out with that. And then the short thing, that was another mistake. But you try your best to come to terms with God.
Mm.
That's the key.
Right.
Finding balance with the hand you've been dealt.
Let's uh let's not talk about hairs. We should talk about the one thing that's going on in the world right now. Trump and Elon don't seem to be buddies anymore. I'm so I haven't looked at anything because I love them. I kind of love them both. It's like it's heartbreaking for me to see this. It doesn't surprise me at all though, but I can't watch it. I don't want to watch it. I hope they make up, at least in my head. I can't get into it. It's devastating.
You hope they make up. I want to see the Epstein files. I want to see what fucking Elon has downloaded. Like,
What
okay.
are we gonna see? A bunch of rich men banging young chicks. That's it.
Yes. Yes.
So
We need
what?
to see.
So
I want to
what?
see.
So what?
So,
Everyone's like, oh, there
so
was
what?
this. They're
You're
probably
not going to
all
read it? You're not
no.
going to read it.
Who cares, man? Who?
Austin, are you going to read it?
I'm going to take a look. I'm not going to have to read it though. I mean, there's going to be 10,000 podcasts about it.
I
Let me
can't
ask,
wait.
if you guys are gay straight, if you got there's a party on an island, you got money, there's beautiful women there, you're gonna go. You're gonna say yes. Who wouldn't go? Who wouldn't go?
Yeah, I mean, I think
What
a
if
lot of people were probably close to what was happening, and maybe it was happening in the other room. It doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty. There's a lot of people on Epstein's plane, for example. But I think the people that did engage in this behavior were videotaped, almost certainly, because
This behavior is
Epstein was a Mossad.
underage. Is this what we're doing? Is this like for
Yeah,
underage chicks? Yeah.
yeah.
The
Epstein was a
worst.
Mossad agent. He wasn't doing this for funsies. He was doing
you
this.
could do anything on a private island, man? Anything.
Yeah, maritime law. Maybe that's boats, but
What I would like to see if there was some crazy shit that they did, like underage. I imagine most are of age. I'm sure there are some underage, but you got unlimited money and you can do anything you want to a chick. I wonder what they're fucking doing to these chicks, man. Like, I wonder how far it went. Interesting.
yeah, reminds me of that quote. Like prosperity best discovers vice, dude. I think these people become jaded when you get every whim taken care of, and that's the lifestyle that you've chosen. The kind of like sensual delights, fancy cars. I think eventually the Ferrari doesn't do it for you anymore, and maybe even the supermodel. And you got to keep pressing it. You got to keep taking it to further extremes.
So
And I,
have you kept up with this Diddy case too? Like, they show
yeah,
clips of it. Yeah, this girl went on multiple vacations, and then she's on the stand crying, saying, "Oh, I thought it was just going to be me and him, but I ended up banging everybody on vacation." I'm like, "But you had like 8 vacations with him, and you did it over and over, and now you're crying, saying he forced you to do it." I was like, "This is I don't." It seems like it's a lot of fake morality with both cases, a lot of it, and it's just what we're supposed to say. You're supposed to be outraged, and I hate it when people pretend like they're offended. There's nothing worse. And to me, both cases just reek of it on both. Like, this is morally wrong. This is terrible. Like, it's nauseating, man. Both of them.
So where's the real happiness? Yeah. If it's not on Epstein's island, if it's not at a Diddy party, yeah. Where do you think the real happy people are?
I guarantee you, there's some probably pretty happy people on both those islands, man.
I don't know, man. I did a podcast this last week. I sent off a message to like a gay podcast that I'd sometimes listen to. I was like, hey, I think you guys are doing really good. And they're like, you should come on and stuff. And I was like, okay. And I came on, and it was these two guys, these two like super flaming gay dudes, and they're both in polyamorous relationships. You know what I mean? And you could tell they were both good guys, but fundamentally, you could see that even though they were super in the community, super sexually open, experimenting with everything left and right, after talking to them for quite a while, I could tell that, oh, these people they're not actually that happy. You know, you could sense it from one guy in particular, the American in particular, and stuff. And it made me sad because I think that we might have ideas of sexual fantasy, or we might have this idea of a billionaire playboy experience. But I do wonder if they really are genuinely fundamentally happy. I could be telling myself that as like a fucking teacher who doesn't have much money at all. But I don't know if it ends up in the Diddy court case. Maybe it
Yeah.
I
wasn't
think
worth it.
the same way, Dean, as a way to feel better. I see a guy in a Ferrari. I go, that guy's probably super depressed. But I do think, like, go back to the Stoics. Like, what is true happiness? Like, these people purposely gave up lives of luxury, and including Gautama Buddha. But I think it's moderation, good friends, good people around you, not engaging in extreme behaviors of whatever type. And I just think with human existence, like you can't go too far in one direction as far as pleasure goes without getting the opposite, without getting that pendulum swing. So I really say like moderation. I think, and like
Yeah.
we've been talking about too, having control of the mind as well, being able to manipulate attention. And we know the kind of like joys that arise from very simply placing your attention on your breath for a period of time. And I've been looking a lot into the jhanas, and it's like Buddha talks about it. He talks about the joy, the bliss, the energization that arises from the placement of attention. It's like this is a very simple concept, but you can be really happy with very little if you know how to control your mind. And then add on top of that moderation, not being a dirtbag and doing vicious things, and all that stuff. I don't think it's super complicated, but it's definitely not. And just accumulating a bunch of fancy things, I really don't believe that one bit.
That was a good little
Yeah,
rant there,
it's
Austin. Especially with that
it's
Jurassic Park hat on. That is fucking top. That even made it even better.
it is true though. Like I don't want to sound like I'm like bragging too much here, but I do feel like a genuine sense of happiness that I haven't really appreciated in my life lately. You know, especially when I was talking to those two gay guys, I was like, oh man, I didn't realize because they were like asking me about my relationship and stuff. And it was the first time I'd sort of talked about it openly and stuff. And I felt guilty because I was like, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's I'm very pleased with it and stuff like that. And I think that there's a real happiness in right now in like just everyday life that can be found. It's just so easy to think about things in terms of why am I not on Epstein's island? You know what I mean? Why am I not there fucking 20 chicks and like taking every drug imaginable and all that sort of stuff. And I think that getting locked in that what's the possibility of tomorrow is just I don't know. I think it's not good for anything, you know?
I don't know, man. It's I've had two, I guess, sex workers in my time as in this field. One of them, it bothered her. The other one, like, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to her at that time. Like, it gave her freedom from something that she didn't have freedom from before. So I could, as a young man going to Epstein's Island, like, oh man, that might be the peak. Like that, maybe that's what you need to grow, depending on the individual. I don't know. But it's hard for me to say, oh, moderation is the way. It's like sometimes you got to indulge in the extreme end before you get to moderation. That's just how it works. So if some people ended up there, it's no fault of their own. Maybe that's just where they were on the journey.
Sure. And I think that like the moments of growth, like they said in that book, is like there has to be some kind of rules violation, like it's
Sure.
only when you have the really extreme moments where your whole universe is turned upside down and you exit the garden that you really grow.
Well, that's why this news shit bothers me. It's like, oh, the island now, these people actually win. I'm like, who fucking wouldn't? No, they didn't know that shit was going on. I'd be going somewhere with beautiful women on an island. I'd be there in 10 seconds. I hate how they
Sure.
pitch it, man. I hate how it's just like everyone needs to agree this is awful. It's like, from the outside looking in, it sounds pretty good, minus the horrible
Mm.
things. But beautiful women on an island with, fuck, I'll be there.
There's a German philosopher by I think his name is Holderlin, but he wrote a book called The Philosophy of Redemption, and he believed that creation itself was an attempt by God to commit suicide, and that
Whoa.
he had to destroy himself and like disperse himself as sentient beings. And then you take into consideration the eventual heat death of the universe. He was like, this is the only way God could like do away with himself, and that's like the purpose of creation.
Wow.
But I was thinking
Yeah.
about like connected to the book, and we kind of talked about Crowley. There's this idea of like a destiny, like a true will, and I think people are happy when they're engaged in something that's really meaningful. And I think even when they're suffering for it, even when terrible things happen, I think if it's in the cause of something that you genuinely think is of the highest importance, I think that's you might not be technically like joyfully happy, but I think there is like a great piece to that, right? To have like a
Yeah.
real goal to pursue. I think a lot that's something a lot of people are lacking.
See, that's something like when I was talking earlier about the Confucius funeral rites and stuff like that. Like Chinese people did that for thousands of years. It was totally normal to do 3 years of mourning for your parents. And I think it genuinely gave them meaning. They liked the fact, there's this ritual everyone has to do. And even though it's painful, at least this is my meaning, this is my purpose right now, and everyone in society participates in that same thing. And I could totally see the value in that. I could.
Well,
Chase, did you finish the White Lotus season one?
yeah, yeah.
What did you think of the idea of the little teenage kid saying, "Fuck it, I'm staying here, gonna do the canoe thing"? You know, what did you think of his story?
Oh man, I know that was beautifully written. His character. That was
Yeah,
probably the character that stood out the most. Is he's
he
just
found meaning,
hollow.
man.
He's hollow,
Yes,
and he was
yes.
looking for anything to fill it with. But I was like, oh God, that's so many rich kids nowadays, or kids in general,
Dude,
just hollow. Yeah.
like, and to see all the wreck of that family all around. The father is like thinking about getting fucked up the ass. The mother is like this domineering woman, and the sister is just this manipulative bitch, and her friend is just like, oh my, it's just like he's surrounded by evil, and of course he wants to fucking turn out by it. And I think that that was in a way his search for meaning. And he said, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna find any meaning back home. Fuck it, I'm out. I'm there's no fucking point, you know." And I really do think it gets back to that with
Well,
everybody.
well, no,
There's
no.
got to be meaning.
If you're truly a hollow, I think of Bobby when I think of this. I think my buddy Eric that we'll talk to next week is when Eric talks about his childhood, he's like, I was a stupid kid in the South. I was empty, like no interest, just fucking doing stupid shit. And then one day, like, I can't remember, started reading something, something switched and just started consuming. To this day, like, hey, I'm gonna get another PhD. I'm like, what? Like this guy just he has to consume because there was nothing there. Something flipped the switch. And I think of Bobby that way too. Just like they'll consume because there was nothing in there from the get-go, and all they know is to consume. It's like the exact opposite. They switched, they did a 180, and it's been for knowledge, it's been unbelievably important to them. I'm not built that way.
Jace, is this something you pursue and practice? Is this something they tell you to do? Like when a guy comes in, he's depressed, do you try to find him somewhere to place his energy? Because I feel like I feel the same way, man. Like I've been like that. Like you wake up and you go, why did I even bother to wake up? You know, like I don't really have anything that I'm willing to endure, suffer for, or even get out of bed for. Is that something that comes up in therapy?
That's the extreme end, man. And that's what I've tried to get away from because there is no written technique. Obviously, you're trying to establish a relationship, but there's very little, there's there's not a lot of hope left. You know, just the depression sank in deep and it's just like quicksand, man. It's like trying to pull someone out of quicksand. I don't think there's been one time with someone like that where it's just said something miraculously, they were out. Never has. That's why I try to work with higher end now because people like that, it's so much energy. They can come out of it. I've seen it. I've gone with them. It's fucking tiring. It's really fucking hard, man. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, well, I wanted to bring up the book because I think like talking about meaning and the meaningful life, that this idea that analytical psychology, unlike Freud, like proposes like an end or a telos to which all human beings are moving or should be moving towards, and it makes meaningful all the vicissitudes of like psychic turmoil. Like the ego is the intermediary between all this psychic fighting, and ultimately the means by which the psyche becomes integrated. So I think that's a very fascinating notion that you go from an idea that like before Christianity fell and when we were in mythic periods, people knew what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to be good people and they would end up in heaven. Like there was a clear end about where a direction they were headed. And then we lost that. Nietzsche talks about the death of God. And then he'd bring at the end of that quote, he says, must we ourselves not become gods to become worthy of this crime? And I think basically what he's saying is like, it not that's to be worthy of it, to be gods is creating values. It's something gods do. And I think it's very fascinating what Jung did is that he psychologized a meaning and said, actually, okay, God doesn't give you meaning and society doesn't give you meaning, but the psyche itself has an inherent meaning. And all of your sufferings are ultimately towards this end. So it makes sense of the vicissitudes of life and it gives man a perspective, like a direction. And I think that's like a huge importance of analytical psychology as opposed to like a Freudian psychology that merely deals with like neuroses and so forth. There's not a telos. There's not a directionality associated with it. I don't know if you guys picked that up in the book and thought that was of any importance, but I thought like the idea that it interjects that idea is super meaningful or significant.
But Austin, do you live that out? Do you feel that is true in your own life?
I'm trying to internalize that idea. I think it's a really good idea. I really do, and I believe there's a great deal of truth to that as well. That we the psyche does desire maturity, and I think a great deal of like happiness comes from that perspective, like integrating shadow aspects, integrating parts of ourselves that are unconscious. I think there's a great deal of truth and significance to that idea, and I think you'd want to do that. I think ultimately that's what makes you a better person for sure.
But when you wake up and you don't feel like there's any meaning in getting out of bed, you know what I mean? Can does that still speak to you in those moments, you know?
Not all the time for sure. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, there's no significance to anything at my
Mm.
worst moments. But oh my god. But most of the time, yes, I have a lot of good reasons to get out of bed. It's only when I'm like very stressed.
You okay over there,
Austin is
buddy?
distracted. Yeah, what's going on, man?
Look, this is the conclusion I've came to with therapy. It's too much work. People know it's too much work, and they're not going to do it. And hospitals, clinics, they're filled with people that have fucked up so much. Other people stick them in there, and it's just like they don't want to do the work. They're going to half-ass it. I can only work with
Yeah.
people that actually want to improve, man. Like, and that's well-rounded, well-adjusted people. That's all I want to work with. Because the other shit, your victories are too minimal. It's just too many failures. Kills you.
I want to share a little YouTube thing that happened. There's a YouTuber that I've periodically watch on and off. He plays Civilization. You know Civ, like Civ
Sure.
6, 6. He plays I don't really like the Civ stuff, but he plays like I love those games, those 4X games, I've always enjoyed them. And there's this guy called this is the name, Potato McWhiskey,
Hmm.
an Irish guy. Yeah.
A good name for an
Um,
Irishman.
yeah,
Yeah.
Potato McWhiskey, but he's solid. He's good. Like he's the sort of guy like if you like to watch somebody play a game well, he's great. He's
Sure.
really good. But anyways, hasn't posted for a while. Never did think anything about it because I kind of like him off there. Anyways, a video shows up in my feed and it's just him, and he's like, "Why I haven't posted in a while?" Chase, this may have been like one of the saddest videos I've ever seen. This guy gets on there and he says, "I'm sorry I haven't posted. I can't get out of bed. I am so fucking depressed." He's like, and he just started listing off all of his conditions. He's like, "I'm a manic depressive. I'm bipolar. I have this is a DNA problem. I'm medically broken." He's like, the medication no longer works for me. He's like, "This is just who I am." And I'm going back to my doctor. I'm going to get all my medication adjusted, but I am fucked. This is who I truly am. I am a depressed, broken person. I will never be able to fix this. And it was just like Jesus Christ, like. And he was like saying like I have a good life. This YouTube thing is like it saved me. I've got everything, and I can't make a video. I can't do anything. I'm gonna give it all up, and stuff. I was like, oh, this is so sad. But it made me realize like it must be really awful for people who really do believe that this feeling of being depressed, this is my DNA. This is who I am. There is no getting out of this. There is just, this is me at a fundamental DNA level, And
Yeah.
it made me sad because I hope he's wrong. I really hope he's wrong. I don't know if he is, but fuck me. I was hoping that guy can get some good news.
I truly believe a lot of this shit is DNA. I mean, the people, it's shocking how people reproduce. I got it firsthand in Hawaii. Everybody's fucking having kids. I'm like, that guy, the guy that hears voices and like, thinks that God's returning on Thursday, you have a couple kids with him? Yeah. It's just like the DNA mixes, like genes matter. You cannot have kids with an unstable, crazy person. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And these people, like that guy, I know that guy. It's fucking, imagine having an hour with that guy where he's hanging on, just barely hanging on to sanity, shocked that he hasn't been killed. And you're in their therapy, you've tried everything. You're like, there is something wrong upstairs. The wiring short circuited. I am 100% confident. And knowing their past, like they got horrific stories. And you're just like, yeah, yep, I'd be dead. I'd be
So my
dead. I
question
tell
is,
them that. I go, I would have been dead if I had your DNA. They're like, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I
Do you
have
really
less.
do believe it's a DNA thing? 'Cause I wonder if it's a psychological thing, meaning like your darkness is so dark that basically your ego 100% identifies with the darkness and the depression.
I
And
think the
because you have
psychology is
total
part of the
identification with
DNA.
it,
It's part of the
you
DNA.
think that's part of the DNA or you think that's an
Absolutely. Absolutely. It
type
can
of,
be passed down like
interesting,
that. Yes.
interesting,
Yes.
interesting.
100% right.
I've been on the cusp of that. I've been on the cusp of it completely consuming everything. And I
Sure.
could have seen myself going over the cliff.
Sure.
Absolutely. Um, but it was very much a mental thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have said like I am a depressed person. I am a broken person. I am a failure of a person. And that would have been my identity forever.
It,
You
it
know?
these higher functioning people, I get some going through some really fucked up shit, and it is fascinating how quick they recover. And when we review, it's like situational. They're like, yes. Like that, there's no doubt about it. The circumstances, it was financial, it was family, it was the relationship. But once they recover, that shit doesn't linger. Like it's like, yeah,
Right.
that's not genetic, man. That was a tough fucking time. And you got a little better. But I've seen people it follows them in every direction. Doesn't matter what's going on, good, bad.
That's fucked up. I hate hearing that. That makes me think like you're just cursed, you
Be
know?
careful
Like
who you fucking have kids with. Don't have kids
mm,
with people that hear voices and see things. It's not good for your kids, all right? It's not
Yeah.
good for them. Don't do it. Fucking
Do
manic
you,
bipolar people, I'm sorry, they shouldn't be having kids. Sorry.
yeah, I mean that's a fair statement. It's something to consider. And when CRISPR and stuff gets better, I think we should take that out of the gene pool. Like we shouldn't subject people to suffer. People are like, oh, well, we're not God. Like I think it's a terrible explanation or a terrible justification for leaving people to suffer. Do you think people that are born crippled and you told them, oh, like we could have fixed you and you could be a Chad and be wonderful, but we didn't want to play God? I'd be like, yeah, you should have played God
I,
because there
I,
is no God. What are you
also,
talking about?
I got a wealthier client, and he's like, "Yeah, me and my wife are having a baby boy." It was just, I knew that information. A month goes by. It's like, "Yeah, we're having a girl." I'm like, "I thought you said you're having a boy." He's like, "Yeah, the female embryo was healthier. We could cut out all the possibility for links to these genes that are in my DNA and her. Like, if you got the money now,
oh,
they're just like, here's the best embryo. I'm sorry, it's a girl, but this girl will never get sick or cancer." And they're like, "Yeah, use that one." So we're there,
it's
man.
getting crazy with that. Dude, have I told you guys about the twins in China?
No.
Oh my. Me and William play a game every time we go out and it's called Count the Twins. You know,
What?
they are fucking with the DNA big time. Cause like I have never,
Oh,
there
pop
are
two out at once. It
twin
makes
babies.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's twins, identical monozygotic twins everywhere.
Really?
Like it's shocking. Like I'm just going. There's one like I think this week we went out one time. We were at Starbucks. We saw six sets. I was just going to Starbucks and back six sets of twins because they're just popping up every. I saw quadruplets the other day, quadruplets coming out and stuff, and I was like, holy shit, they're getting really good at this stuff. China's like, we are gonna beat this demographic problem. We are
That's
gonna
brilliant.
fuck,
That's fucking
you
brilliant.
know?
Every try you pop out two to three. That's how you do it.
Yep,
Smart.
yep, yeah, yeah.
God, they
No,
are
I
so
know,
smart. They are so fucking smart.
and
That's a great
I
pivot.
read a. I'm not much of a science guy, but there was one great science book I read a long time ago called Blueprint. I can't remember the author, but he talked about like the impact of DNA on personality. He believes 65% of personality is DNA. 65%, you
Yeah, I
know.
think I've heard you talk
And
about this. Yeah.
yeah, years I read it in 2020, way back when we
Hmm.
started the podcast. But all of the studies on DNA use monozygotic twins, identical twins, right? Because it's one embryo that's basically split in half, right? So if you think about that, like it's probably pretty easy. Like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Here's the embryo. Oh, we'll just split that bitch in half. You got twins,
What,
you know?
and it's shocking when the twins are split up, the identical ones, their trajectory is very similar. Same career
That's exactly
path,
what you're
same
talking about.
attractiveness
Yeah.
and partner. It's like, whoa, that's fucking crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter
totally
where they were
wild.
raised. Yeah.
They'll even have them growing up in different countries and they're
Yep.
doing the same shit.
Yeah.
You know, like yeah, wild,
That's
wild stuff.
smart. Fucking China. Fucking, we're gonna, you know what? Fuck popping out one. Let's pop out three or four. That'll take care of the
They're
problem.
gonna figure out this problem one way or the other. Fuck
I'm
you, demographic.
impressed. I'm
Fuck you,
impressed.
Peter Zion. We're getting over this problem. You know? Yeah.
That's brilliant.
That was great.
Fuck, man.
I actually heard Peter Zion was on a podcast this week with Scott Galloway, who's a boring liberal guy, but I was like, oh, I'll listen to Peter Zion. And I think some people can't help themselves with the little jabs and stuff. So he's like, Peter Zion, you're really I really admire how popular you are because you give these predictions, almost all of them wrong. And I was like, Jesus Christ. But Peter, he didn't even acknowledge, he just kept talking through it, just like, no, this is the fact, this is the fact. Okay, well, I'm glad you could be here with all of your wrong predictions. Oh, thank you for having me. No, no, no. It's like, oh,
I-
shit. Maybe
That's
that's
it.
the key. Bob and weave, man. You know?
I got my buddy Bruce. He's a great guy, but he listens to this one psychic guy. One of his Bruce's psychic YouTube channels.
Oh, I was going to say Marlene. You mean something else? Okay,
There's
gotcha.
something else, dude. And this guy, I tried him out. He's like, this guy's lit. Right when the election was happening. He
Oh
said
no.
Biden's gonna win. My angels told me Biden gets knocked out. Kamala's gonna win. My angels told me Kamala gets knocked. Trump is gonna be prosecuted before he gets into presidency. Trump gets into president. Like, I can't. This guy's so
Exactly
fucking.
what Bruce wanted to hear.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just what he wanted to hear, man. It was like this guy's fucking idiot, and he still listens to him.
Yeah.
Still,
It's the same shit. Do you remember that like Pat Robinson guy, the 700 Club, remember the Christian News Network? He used to do
no.
shit like, oh man, I guess mom had me in proxy, but this Pat Robertson guy, he used to say shit like, God's gonna send a hurricane to destroy the evil of New York City and California. He would just make crazy ass predictions like that off the top of it, and people would send him money, just tons and tons of money. Like he has it every year. Jesus would come down and talk to him, and he would say like, "Here's what Jesus told me this year," and stuff like that. So
What do you think of these
fun stuff.
people? I mean, is it?
I think that if there is a hell, there's a
No,
special
no, no, no,
circle of
no.
goodness for
If
them.
you really
But
believe somebody's talking to you in your head, I mean, do you think something is, or do you think the imagination's strong, or what's going on with
when
most of
I
these
think
people, man?
I'm almost certain he's a con artist, but what I do think the people who really do have voices in their heads, they're either schizophrenic or prophets. You know what I mean? Like they either get locked up or they're seen as some kind of prophetic person. You know what I mean? Like the other ones who try to milk it for money and all that, they're con artists. I'm almost certain. I'm almost certain.
So you believe there could be a gift to hear something from some other realm?
That variety of religious experiences, man. Like you should check that out, Chase, because that shit I do think there are some people who are touched. You know what I mean? Like I believe there are mystical experiences that alter people, you know? Like beyond drug, like fucking like you are reborn and stuff like
What
that. I believe they happen.
it's interesting because like I was in Hawaii, psychologist for a long time. There was two times with two Hawaiian women that I was counseling. You felt it's just and what they told me, and just like I believed it. Like the
Sure.
image came in my head, the voice spoke to me, and it's just like man, there's something about that. Even just the conversations, like this is not bullshit. This is but that's two out of what, 200? So it exists, but it's unbelievably rare, man. Yeah. The
Yeah.
one chick, the one girl, her husband died. She's like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna see you next week. I was like, why is that? She said, just think it's my time. Dead 2 days later. Fucking broken heart. But she knew. She was totally at peace with it. So I'm shutting down. I was like, that is fucking incredible. Fucking
Yeah.
still blows my mind to this day. She knew it was coming.
I think especially around death, there's weird things that happen, like strange. Just there's something about death that makes people kind of walk the line between reality and the afterlife that leads to weird shit like that. They somehow have an internal clock that's communicating to them.
Yeah.
I've heard too many stories about that shit. Not scientific evidence, but stories.
I
I'll
will.
say that.
I'm with you, brother. I believe that there is something. I can taste it or touch it just so rarely. I wish I'd interact with it more. What about you, Sage Austin? What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I've listened to podcasts about it. I haven't done deep research. I've listened to a few things about like the after death state. They talk about it in Tibetan Buddhism, but I think it's pretty fascinating because a lot of people were like a lot of people that are engaged in like the palliative care sector of healthcare say that weird things do happen around the time of death. Like people very commonly will experience relatives in the room with them, and there are cases where people are talking to people that have been dead for 50 years, 60 years. In some cases, people they'd never even met, like a brother, for example, maybe had died before they were born or were old enough to know them, and that figure shows up in the room. And when they describe it, people say, "Okay, this is this guy, or this is your grandfather that died before you were born." So I think there's a lot of really convincing evidence. I think cumulatively, you talk to 1,000 people that do that and have 10,000 stories. I think it carries a good amount of weight, and it's mostly good. But there were stories of people like that movie Ghost. You know, when the guy finally died, the bad guy, and all those like shadows came out of the ground and took him into the sewers or whatever.
Scary.
Yeah, I mean, there are experiences like that too. They're like, oh, there's a scary guy in the room. They're like, I've done a lot of bad things in my life, you know. So it's finally coming out.
You want
But yeah.
you want to hear a really weird story about that? Man, this is one of those things mom used to do. Me and mom watched that movie. I must have been 6 or 7 or something like that. And I remember that endings because it's scary, especially when you're a kid. Like they fucking took this guy down. I was like, what happened? And you know what mom told me? She's like, didn't believe in Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah,
She
that's what it's
said,
implying, right?
didn't believe in Jesus. Didn't believe in Jesus, man. And I was like, "Blah, that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't fucking go to church, Jesus, mom. You could have told me that earlier."
I I will never forgive Christianity for that narrative. That hey, if you don't, you burn for fucking ever. It never stops. Torment,
Yeah.
pain, eternal. I'm like, that terrified me as a kid. Like it scared me straight. And this I'm so glad. I fucking can't stand Christian shit. Because of that, fuck them. Fuck them. They ruined that
It's
message,
a
man.
it is a terrible place to like begin a religious experience.
And
I don't
horrible,
believe
man. Horrible.
here is the place. You know, it's one thing if you come into it with an attitude of like, hey, I need redemption. Like I understand that, but the place of just like, yeah, you doing this or you're gonna burn forever in hell. Like, Jesus, that's rough stuff. Rough stuff, you know. It worked. I'll give it to the I was like,
It-
fuck, I believe. Yeah, I'll go to church. You got it,
it-
mom. No
yeah.
problem.
For a while.
Yeah.
For a while.
And then it died. It died pretty,
Died hard.
pretty.
Died violently. Yeah. What do you think
Don't
of
tell
the
her that though.
Austin? What do you think of the Christian guilt approach to fucking consuming the masses?
I think maybe it had its place at a time. I mean, you convince people to do the right thing from fear of retribution. It's probably not the best idea. But I mean, Buddhism says something kind of similar. It says, talks about karma and says there's a equivalent, at least an equivalent uh, reaction to every action. So, not eternal damnation, but they talk about some pretty bad hell realms and stuff that are, definitely make you think twice before you do something terrible.
Sure. And you can put yourself in there, but it's never permanent. It's not a permanent state. I think that's the important thing right here. You can create your hell. God knows how many levels, but to stay there forever, whoever wrote that, whoever was ever in that meeting, like, you know what, let's just tell them they're going to be like this forever. That'll really fuck them up. Like, yeah, that'll work. It's like, it's awful. It's a horrible idea. Fucking
Yeah,
horrible.
it's quite extreme. And again, it's like you don't really necessarily have to do anything terrible. You just don't believe the right things and you go to hell. I think that's the difference. And
Oof.
you'd say with karma, it's like there's like a fairness to it. Like, okay, you kill somebody in the next life, you're killed in a similar way. Like that makes sense. And
Makes
here with
sense.
Christianity, it's like, okay, you were born too rational, you're born in a non-religious family or whatever. Okay, you don't believe the right things, you burn in hell forever, right? It's like there's the equivalence is way off. Their sense of like balance is really fucked up. But yeah, I don't agree with it. I think it's traumatizing, and there's a lot of people that come out of religion feeling traumatized and pretty angry about how they were made to feel. Because if you're 8 years old, it happens to a lot of people. You're laying in bed thinking of hell all night, horrified. Probably fucks you up on some level.
Yeah, man, and it instills a value system in you that you're doing out of fear. And let's say something erodes, something goes wrong, and all of a sudden you're looking at your foundation. You're like, well, I don't even. Is this my foundation? Like it's just floating in the clouds, man. It's awful. It never develops the individual. Just say believe or else. And it's unforgivable to me. It's fucking unforgivable.
Yeah, for sure. I think the right thing to do as a like parent or whatever is to teach your children empathy, like have them practice putting themselves in the other person's shoes. And I think there's a natural aversion. Like once you really develop that capacity in people, you don't want to harm people because you
Well,
you suffer with them.
have you ever seen that movie Black Mass, Austin?
I believe I had Whitey Bulger, right?
Yeah. It's Johnny Depp. He nails it, and he's talking to his son at the table. You remember that conversation?
I don't. It's been too long.
His mom goes, "Well, tell your father what you did today," and he goes, "Oh yeah, I got into a fight with a kid. Well, what happened?" He goes, "Well, he stole my pencil, so I punched him in the face." And he goes, "Good boy." And mom goes, no, no, no. I don't know if we should be teaching our son that. He goes, well, son, do you know why you got in trouble? He goes, because I punched him in the face. He goes, no, because you punched him in the face in front of other people. So what have you learned? He said, next time I punch him in private. I'm like, that's my boy. Yeah. So I I think that's sound parent. Is that what you were trying to say? That's what you were trying to imply? That type of logic?
I don't know. That's a
I think
different
that's
system,
that's
you know.
sound parenting to me. That says sound like, look, you did the right thing. You just got to do it in private next time. Get him in the bathroom and punch
I'm
him in
just
the
sitting
face.
here wondering, is this the wisdom? Is this what I'm supposed to get from my brother? Maybe it is. Yeah.
That's
Maybe that
that's
was
that's great advice. It's great. Fuck it. I had a client whose daughter was getting bullied at school. She was biracial, and I sent her that clip on YouTube. She was worried about us. She never laughed so hard in her entire life. It was the perfect reply for her. Made light of a shitty situation. Yeah, it's good.
that was risky. That was risky.
I
That could
knew
have
her.
gone
I
either
knew
way.
her. I knew her sense of
Okay.
humor. Yeah, yeah.
Good, 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 good.
It was a
Yeah.
good call.
I hate when you
Can we-
try to share something funny and it goes terribly wrong. Yeah. That
So
that
wait,
can
you
ruin a.
oh sorry, Dan. Didn't mean to talk over you, buddy.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to the Trump Epstein stuff. So what do you make of this claim of
We got
uh
off that topic. Good God. Wow. Yeah.
yeah, we barely even touched it.
Well,
That's what we need
Trump,
to go back to it.
Elon, that's where we need to stay. Like
Yeah,
I
that's what I yeah.
what are y'all's thoughts on this? These fine young men or old men or Jesus
Okay,
Christ-like
Apparently,
figures?
apparently, Elon is apparently he's been seeking to apologize. He's been and Trump has refused to take his calls. He says
You know what they need? They need someone like me to just kind of broach this, just be the referee, bring them back together. I could do it for a price.
I don't think they're coming back together. I don't think that's happening.
there
This
was an
is
example. Do you guys remember this? Like, there's like a soccer team in like Vietnam or something trapped in a cave, and Elon was trying to help. Do you remember that?
kids, the
Oh yeah,
kids.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't swim
Yeah,
in Thailand. Yeah, that was a problem.
he,
Yeah.
he was having a debate with somebody, and he called him a pedophile. And I think what's kind of interesting is that when he said that Trump was in the Epstein files, which I've heard before, which I've heard accounts of what he did. I heard he was at these parties, and a underage female like masturbated Trump. You know, I've heard different things. Okay, so he probably is in the files. There's pictures with him with Epstein. Do you guys put any credence in that? And do you think he was speaking from experience? Do you think Trump was like, "Hey, man," I bet Elon asked about the Epstein files, and you think Trump was like, "I can't release them." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, they got a couple of pages on me, you know, like I messed up." Or you think Elon is just like saying that?
I don't know about the underage shit. I think everyone there is getting masturbated for sure. If you're on the island, somebody's fucking getting you off. And whether you know they're 18 or not, I don't know if you're into that or not, but it's happening. You just kind of got to accept it. I don't Let's see what the big deal is.
If you are going to Epstein Island, there must be something there that we can't imagine. It's got to be like something. It's got to be fantasy shit. It's got to be like
Who
some.
wouldn't go? Would you go? I would be first in line. Yes, I'm
Chase, I
going.
meditate every day. I meditate every
And
day.
would you
Chase.
go? You'd be right behind me. You'd be all about it,
Again, I
team.
meditate every day. I meditate every day. All
Team.
right. That's all you need to know about me. I
That's
don't
right.
need to answer the question. All right. And all you know is I
Fuck it.
meditate every day.
Austin would
You
be
know?
right there. He'd be third in line, right? Austin, you'd be going, right?
Dude, it's a matter of self-preservation. Like, this guy's a Mossad agent that's been in this game
You don't know
for
that.
30
All you
years.
know, it's a rich guy with an island full of fucking honeys or men or
So
whatever.
wait, hold on a second. Austin, I don't really know about that. So is he an Israeli?
He's not Israeli, but a lot of the people around him were. And this
So
is the
how's he a
idea.
Mossad agent if he's not an Israeli citizen? Like I
Well, he's an asset, so you
is
don't
he
have.
Jewish?
Yeah, you
How do you
can
know he's
work
an
for
asset?
the CIA without being an American. You know, they.
But why work
Uh,
for Mossad?
that's where that's is what like the popular idea, and there's a lot behind it. Like Ghislaine Maxwell is Israeli, or her father was an extremely important person in Israel. I forget his name, something Maxwell, but he was killed. They think he was murdered on his boat, but he was like a media mogul and connected to. He himself was connected to Mossad, and it's believed that he was brought into it either through Maxwell. But there's a lot of people around him that were connected to intelligence. And when he was arrested in Florida for doing things with underage girls, and he was caught dead to rights. He was given a sweetheart deal, and when they asked why he was given such a good deal, they said disguised intelligence. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. I think the prosecutor was told that. So there's a lot of evidence behind it. And the Israelis, again, besides his personal connections, are known for this kind of honeypotting technique to gain control. And I talked to a friend I told you about, the Marine guy, spent a lot of time in Israel. He was like, dude, they are very intense, and they're willing to break a lot of rules. And this is not like far out of what they're capable of. I mean, far from it. They're more than
This is
capable of
fascinating.
this.
I did not know you were a Nazi. This is absolutely fascinating to me. Jewish conspiracies. The Jews control the world in Epstein Island. I should have known from the beginning. In passing around all this Tibet Nazi shit in the occult. I knew it. I knew it from the start. I'd never heard this before, and now you're here poisoning the well of our podcast. I apologize to everyone. Of course, we support the people of Israel. They would never do anything evil. They would never commit genocide in any kind of form.
I don't know about
Epstein
that.
was Jewish too.
Do you think he was there was a famous case down here? I don't even say it's famous. There was a dude that used to hang out in this group down here in Columbia. I met the guy. And his thing was, this was 10 years ago. Hey, you want to come to Columbia? Come on down. I'll set you up with beautiful girls and you pay me a fee. Like it's what he did for Americans, man. And he did it well. He high end, set him up. The girls got paid. This guy, he kicked ass 5, 6, 7 years. And then he got busted because one of the chicks was underage. But every single article I read, every single chick was underage. Like, it's actually just one. Dude, he ended up killing himself. Jumped out of a fucking 3-story, 3rd-story window instead of going to jail in Colombia. But I met the guy. He want to come over to the house? Like, I'm all right. But the chicks were not underage. There was one that got caught, but that became the narrative. I imagine with Epstein, everyone, it was legit at first. And then let this slide, that list side, and God knows what else went on over there. But to think that everyone's going over there to fuck some 13-year-old, I think that's bullshit. I think people are
Jason,
going over there to bang some 21-year-old fucking honey from Eastern Europe. That's what they think they're
I'm
going to.
not I'm not sure how often you talk to clients about sexual fantasies, but how common is underage as a sexual fantasy? You know, I guess maybe because I work with like teenagers and stuff, I find that anything below where I am is actually repulsive because I just see them as children. You know, like I see them as immature human beings making crazy, stupid mistakes.
There was
But I do wonder how many people really like the thought of a 16-year-old girl
nobody
is
would
there.
nobody would admit it. If guys do, they say they like them young. They're very specific about 18 and up. I've only had one. And the only reason I had that one because he was still a teenager, but he admitted to it.
Right.
He was just like, yeah, this chick showing me attention. I'm like, how old did you say she was? Like, but that's the only attention he was getting.
Yeah.
So I saw how it started. He went off to college. I was like, best of luck. Go see your university counselor. Good luck. I didn't
Hmm.
want to deal with it, man. That's dangerous. Because like, oh, what
Yeah.
did you know? What did he tell you? It's just like, oh, nope.
If you
No,
had to
thank
give
you,
a
man.
percent, what percent of the population of male population do you think fantasize about underage?
Here's the problem is we've glorified it to the point where, oh, you should kill that person. And if you are your hero, they don't talk about it. And if they don't talk about it, it's
You
just
don't
gonna
know.
fester and it's gonna grow.
Yeah.
I have no gauge.
Forbidden
But
fruit.
we fucked
Yeah.
it. I've been to a psychology fucking conference where they asked that question, who would counsel this people? It's like me and two other people out of like 50. Like I'd
Wow.
counsel them. I'd want to know what happened. All the rest, moral high ground. I would never talk to somebody like that. I'm like, you're a fucking psychologist. You would
Hmm.
never, because that's what you're supposed to say. So I don't have gauge, man. No accurate gauge. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's up there because
How
I
high
do.
do you think it is? Come on. Can't be that high.
I'm gonna guess 15% of all males.
Huh. Oh,
15%.
okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Austin?
Yeah.
That's probably accurate. That makes sense.
Y'all think it's
Mm.
around 15? Why do you think it's that high?
For me
Where's
personally,
what's the evidence?
so there was you remember that Opie and Anthony show?
Yeah.
I got really into it because of Patrice O'Neill and stuff like that. Anthony
Well,
was
because Eric will be on the show. There's a term for it. If you're into like 16,
mm,
17, I think that's
yeah.
very different than a 12-year-old. That's unbelievably different. And
Yes,
there's a
because that's
term
something
for that.
people who
There's a
teach
term for
maturity.
this. I forget the name
Right,
of the term, but
right.
my guy next week, he's like, "Yeah, dude, that's kind of relatable. Like, if you're into a chick, she's 16, 17, like I can understand the confusion. Sure.
Right.
But if you're into a chick that hasn't
Definitely.
matured, yes.
This is definitely the clip that's going to bring you down, Chase, just so
Oh
you
no.
know. But
Okay. All right. Well,
whatever the case,
there's a
like,
term for it, and they should have that in the law. I think it matters. If you fucked a 17-year-old and you thought she was 20, you shouldn't be
sure.
that a child molester. You shouldn't have that title. It's fucked up.
And age is very arbitrary when we're talking about maturity too,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like I have seen 16-year-old girls that are built like a 25-year-old woman.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I'm not saying like I'm gay. I'm totally gay, but it doesn't change the fact that they were fucking like huge titties, like they were fucking a
Yeah.
fully mature woman. You know what I mean? Anyways, this Opie and Anthony thing. Anthony was famously into younger women. Like he was always only dated 18. Only. This is like a
Yeah.
40-year-old guy and stuff. And guys would call in saying, yeah, me too, me too, me too, me too. And apparently Bill Clinton, he was the same way. He liked him young. I mean, I can't blame if you're sleeping with Hillary. You want something fresh, come in there, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just think that it's definitely forbidden fruit, but there also everyone sexually develops right at that time, like those early teenage years, and those are the things you're associating with, those types of girls. And I could totally see some people's sexual development stopping
Stunting.
there for
Sure.
whatever reason.
Sure.
Yeah, and
Dude,
that's
personal
just what it is.
growth. Have you ever met someone that's like 45 and you're like, but mentally they're like 18 or 15?
Yeah, our
All
father. No, just kidding, Dad. Sorry, sorry, sorry.
but
But
this shit
yeah,
happens all the time. It would make absolute sense that it would happen with sexuality. We fucked it up because we glorify, oh, kill him, put him on a list, never give him a job. And it's just like,
yeah.
oh, it's just going to make it worse. You're making the
Have you
problem
ever
worse.
Have you ever looked at the Clinton shit? Like, you ever looked at Clinton's history with women? Like, ever gone into it?
I always, if I could hang out with the president, it would have been Clinton. That would have been the president
Sure.
I would want to
Oh,
hang
me
out with for the
too, man.
night.
Clinton, come on, you'd have a great
100%.
time with Clinton.
100%
But
have a great time. Yeah.
dude, he was an absolute. I mean, it was crazy, dude. Like the stories, he is just flinging cum everywhere.
Well,
Just his whole life, he's just banging, banging, bang. He was an animal, Like, but that was just him, man. He was just pure, just fuck
dude, you're the
everywhere,
smartest man in the room and you got a southern accent. Everyone thinks you're dumb. It's the oh man. He was good looking dude too.
dude.
Clinton, man.
I
He's
I'd
swat,
totally be gay for
white
Clinton.
hair.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
I came so they made a movie about it called Tom Cruise was in it, American Made, I think. But they're running a lot of cocaine during the when the CIA was trafficking drugs into California, the Iran Contra. A lot of the cocaine was being dropped or being moved through Arkansas while Bill Clinton was was it wherever he was, not the mayor, but what's the correct word? Governor? Yeah, governor.
Governor. Yeah.
Yeah, of Arkansas. And there's a case, the boys on the tracks. Presumably, these boys saw the drugs being dropped out of an airplane because they would drop them into the woods, and they were killed. So the people that were getting the cocaine found the boys, discovered they had figured out what was going on, killed them, and then put them on train tracks to be run over. They were taken
Wow.
to the yeah, it was a terrible scene for sure. They were taken to the medical examiner, who was a longtime friend or protege or like connected to Bill Clinton. And the medical examiner ended up saying that the boys get stoned on marijuana and passed out on the train tracks. So
Jesus.
it wasn't. Yeah, so not murder, right? So just an accident. Don't look into this. Don't look any further. A lot of shady stuff. I mean, I looked it up on AI, and it actually gave me the names of all his accusers too. Bill Clinton
Yeah.
was a known cokehead, and so was his brother. Do you remember his brother's name? Was it Billy?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He was crazy. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't
So we
remember.
got some names here.
Well,
Uh,
I want to say it's a FOBO file and it's in the DSM-5. And while it's still illegal, it's distinct from pedophile because it involves attraction to physically matured bodies. Like the body, like I think that's such an important distinction. And I'm not condoning it, but I'm just like, look, these people aren't. You don't need to kill these
They're
people.
not
You want,
pedophiles.
yes, it's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
huge difference. Like, dude, she was
Yeah.
17 and I was into her. I thought she was 20. That would be, yeah.
Austin, I do want to say, I've come close to hero worship maybe twice in my life. One was with Patrice O'Neill, but the other one was Christopher Hitchens. And
Fat
there was a
black man and
time,
a fat white man. Okay. Yeah.
yep, these are the two greats. And I got really into Christopher Hitchens, and I started reading his shit. Like I read, God is Not Great and his Thomas Paine book and stuff. But he wrote a book on the Clintons called No One Left to Lie To, and it was devastating. Like it was the sort of thing where when I first of all, it was really, I couldn't put it down, but they are the most corrupt scumbags you have ever run into as a fan. Like the only book that was worse is he wrote a book about Henry Kissinger that was even worse. Like that was the darkest shit I've ever read. But those people never had someone they wouldn't take money from. If you offered them money, Trump famously said, like, yeah, she came to my wedding. Why? Because I sent her a champagne check. You know, like they were absolute
Well,
prostitutes, and they
Dean, if people
were the
sent
money.
us money,
Oh,
if
yeah.
people said, "Chase, Dean, $300 to show up to this, whatever, or 1,000," you think we'd go?
Well, see, here's the deal, Chase. Does it involve tying children to rail tracks? You know,
Maybe like a photo
like,
shoot. It's
like,
not, they're not really going to get killed, but it's a photo shoot or something.
see, I do think you had, like, you remember Tim Pool and all the right wing, they got in trouble a couple months ago for taking money from Russian assets and stuff
Sure,
like that.
sure. Yeah.
And they were just like, we didn't know, we didn't ask questions and stuff like that. I feel like you kind of gotta ask questions. You know what I mean? Like that's just part of life. If you're not asking questions, then you're gonna make incredibly stupid mistakes, and you're gonna be guilty for those mistakes. Stupidity is not a defense.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're in survival mode, you don't really care who's paying the bills, right?
Chase, you might be speaking for yourself there, but I still believe you have wisdom to give me. I just want to make that clear. All
I
right.
if
I'm
I took
listening
money
with
from the
open ears.
wrong person and I was in survival mode, but look, I was struggling to pay the bills. I'd take money for fucking anybody. Shit, I didn't care at the
And
time.
and
But if I
the
had
judge will
money
say
and I
that's a
was
very
making
nice excuse.
a
Yes,
good
thank you.
excuse, it's an honest excuse. It's the
A
truth.
nice excuse. Enjoy the next 25 years in prison.
No,
Yeah.
you don't go to prison for taking money from Russia, do you? Is that what they do nowadays?
It depends what the money's for. If it's for
Oh,
killing somebody,
oh
like,
yeah,
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 that
that would
could
be
be the
good.
case. Yeah, yeah.
You heard the Clinton Foundation.
Oh, yeah, that's really dark.
There was a case
Hmm.
where somebody associated with the Clinton Foundation was arrested leaving Haiti with a group of children, and she was a one of these people that was in charge of like these Amber Alerts in the
Well,
U.S. So they were really high up.
Austin, you think it goes so far
Yeah.
where they sacrifice kids in order to eat and they're like reptilians and shit like that? You think it's that far?
No, they're fucking them. That's all there is
And
to it.
eating
A
them.
white,
They're
I'm
probably eating them too, right,
telling you,
Austin?
Bill Clinton, a white good old boy from Arkansas, he wants to fuck himself some little black children. That's it. It's very simple. Very simple.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Well,
God.
look, if you had like a bad, just say this: are there sociopaths and psychopaths at the highest levels of power? Probably.
Yes.
Do they want to
Yes.
control other people? Probably.
Yes.
Do they have
Yes.
crazy goals they're striving towards? Probably. And are they willing? Are there people in this world that are willing to do anything to get what they want? Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's probably accurate. And so it doesn't. It's not out of the bounds of reason that they would use children to do that. I don't. Maybe they don't even like children or not involved with it themselves. But you can't go like back in the day. You could blackmail someone that cheated on their wife. You can't really do that anymore. No one cares. That's going to be over in like a month, right? And then it's like, okay, you're gay now. So we're going to tell people you're gay, but no one cares about that. And like the last vestige is like you're corrupt. And the worst thing possible is that you touch kids. Like, dude, if
Touch
they got
kids.
video of you doing that, you're never making a decision for yourself in your life. Like, and I think that's why a lot of these
There's
people,
no me tooing for children. That's not gonna happen. Yeah.
Oh,
That
they
yeah,
they
that's
they have tried. I've seen the TED lectures on it.
What on Nambla? Did Nambla come and speak or something like that?
Nah, there's liberal female little therapist pitching that these people deserve to be heard too, which she's not wrong. She's not wrong. If you want to snuff this out from society, you have to study it and you have to help the people that have it. But our mind, look, you just want to kill them. You want to kill them all, and it's just like you kill them individually, it's going to grow and grow because nobody's
Let's
going to talk
call
about it. It's going to grow.
let's call this episode Chase's career resignation. Let's just
It's
call it
fucking
that. Make it
true, bro.
easy. Yeah, to find this one,
You
and
guys listed it at 15%. Both of y'all said we think it's about
I
15
didn't say
fucking percent
pedophiles. I didn't
is
say
a lot
pedophiles. I just said that
that
they
they have the
prefer
fantasy. Yeah, that's there.
they have fantasy. Yeah,
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
but so my feeling is, like, let's say there's a person that hits his head and has violent fantasies, and gets help, and he's at an institution and he doesn't actually kill anybody. We don't put him in prison for murder, and but if you actually commit the crime, then you're going to get a jail sentence or whatever happens to you. And if you're a pedophile and you know that your desires are going to end up ruining a person's life, then turn yourself. There needs to be a place where these people can go to get
There
these things
isn't.
dealt with.
There isn't.
That's a fair point, Chase. And if these people say, "Hey, I have a problem, and before I hurt somebody, I'm going to get help," then I have zero against people like that. But if you have a desire and you go into the world and you ruin someone's life, you've gone over the barrier. Like there's no going back after that. Now you are a criminal. You went from being somebody with an issue to being somebody that is going to be put in prison for maybe their entire life, and justifiably so. But there needs to be a door open to these people for anybody that says, "Hey, I'm not right. Get me out of society because I might do something crazy."
This is where you should have your top psychologists working with these people. Like this would be like empirical to snuff this shit out. And we don't. We fucking reject them. And if you bring it up to somebody, they'll threaten to kill you or turn you in. So what you have is just like volunteers on like a hotline. These are the people talking to these people. So you're actually making the problem much worse. You guys said 15%. I
There
thought that was high, but
is
maybe
there
that's accurate.
is there a pedophile hotline? Like,
I,
listen, I'm right in front of a playground. I can't control myself. Please help me.
I, w
Like,
I worked with the
they're
guy
real.
who volunteered. He was a very successful man. He volunteered
Yeah.
for a suicide, gay, trans, lesbian, queer, whatever, all the letters hotline for suicide. He
Mhm.
was an older gentleman. And he would say, not a lot of the times, but a good bit, these gay, lesbian, trans had fantasies of those
Uh,
natures. But
Interesting.
this man was not prepared to have these but this was the only fucking outlet these kids had. It's this nice old
Yeah.
guy. And it's just like, this is the system we have right now for this shit. Like they got enough
Mhm.
problems. They're having these horrible fantasies too, and it's just the volunteers talking to them. And they always said the same thing. You're the only person that's ever been listened to me and not threatened to kill me or something like that. Yeah.
Chase, I can only say this. I know the top psychologist in this country,
Yeah, you're talking to
and
him.
he's speaking to me right now. Yes. Yeah. Take up your mantle and lead the vanguard, my brother.
Dude,
It's time.
if I took on that, there would be nothing of Chase left. There would be nothing, bro. That would be a broken.
You're already close to nothing left. So yeah,
There would be a blob on the floor. Just put me in the grave, bro. There's nothing left, man. Yeah.
pour him into the grave, man.
Pour him.
Yeah, I don't think Chase could handle the kind of backlash, because I think he's totally right. We should help anyone that's willing to get help.
Yes.
But it's just like if it's offenders that it's really that's why people want to kill those people. I don't. If someone has desires that they know are wrong and they never act out, it's hard to get upset about that. But yeah, I mean, I
Chase,
agree
what
with
if you
Chase.
what
A
if you work on the
compassionate
hotline?
stance from Chase.
Well,
What
it's
if you're
making
working
the
a
problem
hotline?
worse. It's just making it worse. This is not practical. This is stupid. It's not working. Yeah.
What if you're on the hotline, Chase, and you hear that voice? You say, Chase, this is Bill Clinton.
Bill.
I'm here on Epstein's Island, and there's a little 12-year-old Haitian boy, and I
Yeah.
want to have my way with him. Yeah, can you help me? Can you
Oh
help
man.
me? Could you help him, Chase? Could you help him? She's right here. I'm looking right at her. She's got this cute little asshole. I just want to take it. Help me out, please, for God's sakes. Could you do it, Chase? Could you
I,
do it?
I'd try my best. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mr. President, turn away from the little Haitian asshole, please, please,
I
Mr.
always
President.
liked Clinton. Even as a kid, I thought he was kind of cool looking. I was like, this guy's cool as
You know what Clinton was famous for? So there's
suave.
all these stories of people like he was one of those guys who would go talk to people like at the camp, like shake hands, hey, how you
Yeah,
doing, talking to
yeah.
he was famous for like talk like he's getting on a plane and he would talk to like the air traffic guys there on the ground, and he'd like talk to him and stuff, and then people go, what did he say to you? And they're like, I'm a Republican. I think I'm gonna vote for him now.
Yeah,
Like he had this magic spell. Like people just were like, "Damn, I like this guy." Like something about animal magnetism, man.
I think
Something
that's
about
the
him.
right approach. You're naturally a conservative, but you run as a Democrat, or you're naturally a Democrat, you
Yeah,
run as a
which is
Republican, but you're just
that's
suave
why.
and you're
Mhm.
charismatic, like plus 18. That was Clinton, man, right? Yeah.
That's why Hitchens could not stand him. He thought he was an absolute like moral pro because he was like, "You say you're a Democrat, you're not. You're the worst kind of Republican."
He was the
Like
ultimate game
he
player,
hated.
man. He was a
Oh
stud,
yeah,
stud.
that whole
Yeah.
family, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, we went off, guys. That's an hour 15. Yeah. Any final thoughts? Or are we good to go?
We changed lives today for the better or for worse. It doesn't matter, but they are
I
permanently
think
changed.
so, man. That was a
Yeah.
lot. There was dreams. There was meaning in life. There was Haitian children assholes. There was Epstein and Trump like that. We touched it all today, gentlemen. Touched some things we probably shouldn't have touched, but
Everybody was touched. Yes.
Yeah, the
it's good.
algorithm is very upset today, but we've made a lot of
Wow.
pedophiles very happy. Thanks, Chase.
Amen. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for listening to the Divine Brothers podcast. We will see you next time.